So I just found out this morning that the river access has been shut down. The only way in is a 4-hour hike. The only way I'm gonna eat tomorrow is if I catch a fish. Just came across this thing, check this out. Ooh. Kind of wobbly. Oh, this backpack only makes it even more of a challenge. Whoa, what a view. How cool is that? So check that out. That's the Chattahoochee right there. I'm barely getting started on this hike, and I'm gonna make it to my campsite before it gets dark. I better get going. To the campsite. So one of the things that's always intrigued me about places like this are the people who used to live here, or own them before we ever got a hold of them. There's one in particular that used to own land over here down this part of Georgia. He's an entrepreneur, pretty influential figure, straddled between two worlds, very conflicted, and he met his untimely end by his own people. But more on that around the campfire tonight. Really haven't made it that far, probably 2 miles at this point. But this is taking me way less time than I thought it would, so I gotta take a break at this little stream here and give me a drink of water. So I'm coming across this field, I'm almost there. I feel like I'm walking across the prairies. See? So you can see that little outhouse way back there. You have it, folks. The only place to go to the bathroom around here. Might come in handy later. Well, I think we found the culprit here. This one is, oh, actually not that bad. But still won't let us use it. That's where I could have pulled in my boat. Man, still, that meat is still frozen. That's crazy. Got some ground up deer meat from deer that I got last December. You want to check that video out? Go check it out right here. So the fire is getting nice and cooked up, warmed up, so I'm going to start making some deer meat. Now y'all know I got to put a little two-step in there. Bon appetit. See how it turned out. A little more salt. Definitely a two-step too. Hard to beat old Cajun mix. That's good. Well, we got a little daylight left. We'll go check out the fishing. Should help that it's almost dark here, about 7:30. So fishing gets pretty good when it gets to this time of day. Look at that. We got some neighbors here. Little raccoons love to run along the edges of little creeks and rivers looking for stuff at night. You see those? It's all little raccoon prints. So earlier I mentioned a guy who was very influential in this area. Back in the 1820s, he owned land. He had a farm right up here, upriver on this bend up here. He was a Native American. His father was Scottish, his mother was Native American, and he was raised by the Creek Indians. But he was also raised by his father in Savannah. So he grew up knowing the Creek language and the culture, as well as the English language and culture. So that put him in a real precarious position to be able to tread both worlds. And he eventually became an entrepreneur. He ran a ferry up and down this river right here. So he had high-powered cousins. One of his cousins was the governor. And at the time, he was a very trusted chief in the Creek Nation. So due to westward expansion, the American government was putting a lot of pressure on him to negotiate and eventually sell the Creek lands to the American government. He ended up signing a treaty that did just that, but it was only him and a handful of other elders from the Creek Nation. He was part of the Lower Creek, and there was an Upper Creek, and the Upper Creek didn't know anything about it and eventually wouldn't approve of it. And he was personally enriched through that treaty. And eventually there was a law, Creek Nation law, that said if any Creek elder unilaterally, meaning like by themselves or not amongst all the other elders, gave away or sold land that wasn't agreed upon, it was going to be their end. And eventually that's what happened. The Upper Creeks came down to the Lower Creeks, which is right over here, one night, burned his house, and that was his end. He had three wives were there. He had some sons. I think one of the sons, they was able to get away, but he didn't make it. And so he's buried right over here. And he's a prime example of somebody in history who, at that time, there was a big rift between European settlers and the Native Americans. And Chief McIntosh sat right in the middle to where he could play both sides of the fence. And some might say he was being selfish and sold off his land just to get rich and then build a hotel and help his ferry out and, just kind of profit from it. And others say due to his understanding of the American culture at that time and the fact that he fought with those guys in different battles, he understood that like there was no way out. There was no other way out for the Creek Indians than to sell their lands. I think it's tough to be someone in that position, number one. I'm sure he was getting a lot of pressure from his high-powered cousins. He knew that that was a law at the time. So therefore, and he knew it was a law and he supported that law at one point. So he must have known what was going to happen to him. Now there's a reserve right up the creek river from here in his name, which we'll probably go see tomorrow. I'm all snuggled in here. I'm a little primitive bed, but tomorrow I'm thinking about, I'm either going to hike out of here and get back on the kayak and probably fish from the reserve all the way back over here, check out McIntosh's place, or I'm going to hang around the campsite and try to fish up and down this bank here. The bank doesn't look too terribly conducive to fishing because it's steep and there's not a lot of places to stand, but wading could be an option, but we'll see. See you in the morning. So all that right over there is private property. I've been listening to either somebody hitting a turkey call or a turkey gobbling over there. Trying to wait to see if you guys can hear it on camera. They You can barely hear that wind is whipping through here. 10, 15 mile an hour winds, but like you can barely hear it across the river. Old school grits for breakfast. I got some deer sausages from the same deer I got back in last December. This right here, some of the best dark coffee I've ever had. Yes. There we go. Pretty good. So last night was pretty tough. Probably dropped 20 degrees last night. The winds were 10, 15 miles an hour. I was not prepared for that. I think my plan this morning is going to be I'm going to hike, break camp, we'll pack my stuff up, hike back out, back to the truck, get my kayak and head over to old McIntosh place, and then I'll probably fish the river for most of the day, see if I can catch something so I can so I can have something to eat. I'm running low on food here. So every year around Christmas time, we go back to my hometown of Mississippi. We deer hunt for about a week. And this past year, I ended up getting a little, like a 6 or an 8 point or something like that. And we end up getting him ground up in some ground meat and then some sausage here. Funny thing about deer sausage is it's so lean. Deer meat is so lean that the processor they usually end up putting like 30-40% pork in there, hold it together and give some fat. Let them sit for a little bit. Ain't gonna be good. In the meantime, I'm gonna work on that little cup of coffee. So this coffee right here is dark and it's got chicory in it. Comes out of New Orleans. We were down there for Mardi Gras about a month ago, and we stopped in one of their little restaurants, and I saw it and said, man, gotta try that. I did. By far my favorite. When I'm looking for something quick and easy on a morning like this, just cut it up, put them in there, put a little seasoning on there, let them cook for a couple minutes, and then you're good to go. That was good. That was really good. Cheers. Man. Something about a dark cup of coffee in the backcountry next to the river. Just, it hits different. For some reason I thought they had platforms back here. They don't. So I just ended up sleeping on the ground. Old school cowboy style. So last night, or yesterday afternoon, I parked my truck up at the trailhead with my boat in the back of it and the baits in the back of it too, so hopefully it's still there. Let's go see. Well, let's go check out McIntosh's place and see if we can put it in there, catch a fish. Yeah, so check this out. This is McIntosh's old place. I passed a replica of the old house up there. But all along the river here, you got all these kind of random primitive campsites here. Man, this is cool. Man, look at those shoals over there. Dang, that's probably where I should have stayed last night. That's so cool, way out, all that way out there. That's super cool. And all these sites, they back up to the river right here. And it looks like when they're clearing out the sites, or they're cleaning them up, they put all the wood right here for you. So, and it's a first come, first serve. So I picked up a site that's got the most wood. So that's pretty neat. I'm gonna start carrying some wood over at this store. I'm gonna start carrying some wood over here. Where we tried to fish, that current out there was rough. We barely even made it across the other side of the river. Having to paddle as fast as I could. I figured there's no way. I wanted to fish these shoals right here. And you put it way down there to paddle back upstream to hit that, but there's no way. No, absolutely no way I can do that. So check out the fellow temp right here. Got something going on with the horses over there. So this is the old house. This is a replica. It's a replica of McIntosh's house because his original house was burnt down by the Upper Creeks. There it is. It's his original house here. I'm pretty sure at the time when he got attacked, he had some family living with him. I think his wives were here and some of the other elders and his kids were living here too. There's a small doorway here. Check this out, just bare bones. Bare bones here, you got an old fireplace here. Here, another room with a modest fireplace right across the hallway here. It's even got a second story. Short ceilings here. Almost 6'1" or 2. So this thing's probably like 6'4" or 5. When the Upper Creeks came to take him out, I want to say 1 or 2 of the other kids got away. I think they took out the rest of them, but they buried him right over here. I assume that's kind of where his house was. The Upper Creeks came, took him out, buried him right here. The man torn between two worlds. Just something a lot of us can relate to. 1775, wow. All right, let's go fishing. Well, as suspected, no luck on this little stretch right here, but everybody's camped here, and this is part of the main part of the park, so I'm sure it's completely overpressured. But when I was putting the boat in earlier, I saw like a stretch of just nothing along the river there, so I might drop down there and hike, see if I can do any better way down there. Well, no luck here. Still pretty hot part of the day, but I think I'm gonna check out this little marshy pond looking area over here and then circle back over here closer to dark and maybe try some topwater. This is what I was looking for. That dude out. That's a death wish waiting to happen right there. It's like a missile coming down right on the trail. Whoa, that's crazy. Well, I think we might have got skunked for this trip. Not even a bite, a bump, nothing. Good thing we got something to eat for tonight. Won't go hungry. Man, I'm all hungry too. And tired. Whew. Pretty sure I hiked about 11 miles over the past 2 days instead of doing this part. Probably a few miles, so I'm probably in the neighborhood of 15 miles over the last 2.5 days. Man, I'm smoked. We got a few hours of sleep last night. That wind was brutal. It was howling like 10, probably 15 miles an hour. All I had was a little blow up thing and crappy little blanket. But hopefully tonight's better. So I'm gonna head back to camp. Got some pork chops to cook up, some potatoes. Get some rest. I've been in a roasting peanuts the last couple of years. Got some Cajun spice in this one. Just managed to burn my little handle off my cooking stove there. Walked away for a couple seconds to do something else, and it came back, the joker was lit on fire. But got the pork chops going now. Let them cook for a few minutes and supper should be ready. Bon appetit. I'm gonna throw my stuff out right here in the back of the bed. Man, it's just barely 8 o'clock. The sun hasn't gone down yet, but I'm smoked. So I'm gonna lay here and do a little reading here for a little bit. I'm reading Code Girls, so I can tell my girls about it. I'm gonna read this for a little bit. I'm gonna hit the sack. Got cold last night. Probably colder than it was last night, in the mid 40s. Man, the wind was blowing. So, but I made it through. Backtrail camping. But it's a water bowl right now. I'm gonna start getting my stuff packed up. Doing a little quick breakfast this morning. A little sausage and gravy. Let that sit for about 10 minutes and be ready to eat. In the meantime, I'll finish packing up. You know, it's kind of interesting to think about places like this and what they've been through, and all the history they've been through, all the history they have over the last several hundred years. And now we're camping on it.